This is my Alfa Romeo 1750 GTV barn find. And when I say barn find, I mean it. This car drove into the barn in the mid-1980s when it was only 15 years old. And then it sat for nearly 40 years and didn't move an inch. Rats had made themselves at home all over the engine, so I didn't even try and turn it over while in the barn. But I did decide it was time to give this Alfa a second chance. So I dragged it home to start bringing it back to life. After a good clean, I put oil in the bores and let it soak for over a week, hoping it might free up the engine. But nothing. The engine was seized, absolutely solid. So we pulled the motor from the car, tried leverage, transmission fluid, everything I could think of, still locked solid. At this point, I took it to Alfa specialist at Veloce Sport to see if the legendary Alfa Romeo twin cam could be saved. This is the story of a seized Alfa Romeo engine brought back to life.
Okay, right, this is Rowan's engine. He's just dropped off for us, basically seized, but hopefully we can rebuild this and have no issues.
Veloce Sport got straight to work on the engine. First up, removing the head bolts. Now, because this motor was completely seized, there was no way to rotate the engine to free the timing chain properly, so they had to cut it. With the timing chain out of the way, it was time to lift the cylinder head. And here's the surprise. Sometimes these heads can put up a real fight, especially after decades of sitting. But this one, it came off far easier than expected. Not bad for an engine that's been asleep for nearly 40 years. With the head removed, we finally get to see inside the engine. And yep, there's the culprit. The piston rings had completely rusted themselves to the cylinder walls. Not too surprising after sitting for nearly 40 years. There was no chance this engine was going to turn over. You can still see the remains of the fluid I poured into the bores. Transmission fluid, penetrating oil, anything I could think of to try and break it free. No amount of soaking or leverage was going to save it at this stage. The engine needs a full strip down. Up next, off comes the sump. With that out the way, the team started removing all the bolts holding the crankshaft, including the big end bolts where the crankshaft connects to the conrods. Now here's the challenge. The conrods are still attached to the pistons, and those pistons are completely stuck. The rings have basically welded themselves to the cylinder walls. That means the pistons can't move up nor down, and the conrods can't rotate with the crank either. It's all locked together as one single lump. And now the really exciting part, removing the crankshaft and dropping out the old pistons and conrods. With the crank finally out the way, it was time to get those pistons free. But they didn't exactly slide out. Each one needed a serious tap. And then they did move, but the entire sleeve came out with them. With everything stripped down, it was time to inspect the damage. And here's the good news. Despite being seized solid, most of the internals were actually in surprisingly decent condition. The crank, the head, and the block, all reusable with a bit of machine work and fresh parts. This engine can definitely be saved. But we definitely won't be using these bearings, pistons, rings, and sleeves again. With the block cleaned up and the original aluminium shining like new, it's time to start bringing the engine back to life. The crank has been freshly ground, new sleeves, pistons and rings ready to go. Everything prepped, cleaned and measured. And now, with all the new parts on hand, it's time to start the reassembly. Reassembly is just the reverse of strip down, except now everything is brand new. With fresh oil and a spotless block, the crankshaft goes in along with the new bearings, and everything is torqued down in precise sequence to ensure even pressure across all the journals. This isn't just about tightening bolts, it's about doing it right. With the crank now turning smoothly for the first time in decades, it was time to drop in the new sleeves, pistons and rings. Each sleeve was carefully pressed into place, and the pistons, complete with freshly gapped rings, were gently guided into the bores and connected to the crank. No rust, no seizing, just clean, precise movement. The bottom end is starting to look like a proper Alfa Romeo twin cam engine again, for the first time in 40 years, and it's all moving as it should. The new timing chain went in, followed by gears, guides and covers, a new oil pump, fresh water pump and all the ancillary components. Every bolt torqued, every surface cleaned and sealed. Now with the bottom end fully built, it's time to seal it up. So on goes the sump, tightening down with what feels like 100 bolts. And just like that, the short block is done. And now for the top end. The cylinder head has already been skimmed, machined and fully rebuilt with all new parts, fresh valves, new guides and seals. It was lowered carefully into place, then torqued down in sequence to make sure everything seats evenly. Then it's onto the cams, bolted in to the same level of precision. And finally, the timing chain is looped around the cam gears. With everything aligned and timed correctly, it's finally back together. With a freshly clean tappet cover and new bolts holding it down, plus a brand new sump plug for extra attention to detail, the engine is finally complete. And just look at it. It looks great. Now with the engine looking absolutely stunning, the team at Veloce Sport have gone one step further. They've installed a new clutch safe cylinder. They've installed a new high torque starter, a brand new alternator, a new 123 electronic ignition, basically everything the engine needs to fire up. They also checked the gearbox. Now in the past, the gearbox had been rebuilt and they found that the synchros were in good shape and had been replaced. But they found that the reverse fork was bent. So they've replaced that, reassembled the gearbox, put in new seals and attached it to the engine. So the inlet manifold was also cleaned up and they installed new carb mounts. Now we've decided to go with metal mounts for more durability. So now the engine, gearbox and clutch are all fully reassembled as one unit. And it's ready to reinstall back into the car when the time comes. Now I'm honestly thrilled that that engine could be saved. From a seized unit to looking absolutely stunning. It's a huge step forward for this GTV barn find. Now we are making great progress on the bodywork and the welding. But this driver's door has given me a lot more challenge than I expected and a lot of unexpected surgery. But I will share all of that in the next video. So guys, that's another episode on RC Classic Garage. This channel is all about the ownership experience of my classic car collection. And we do also have some exciting news coming up on the collection. We do have one car leaving, but we also have another car being shipped internationally into the collection. So please make sure you like the video. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's been great having you watch the video. Thanks again and ciao.